Hey everybody, it's your buddy Carl with Gray Matters. So I've been getting some mild response to my videos and some of my posts, and I've actually even gotten a couple of questions, either through direct message or through email. And so I thought I would take a moment to address some of these questions because I think they're legitimate. Some people sent messages that were angry and accusatory and all that, but one or two people sent messages that they just seemed generally curious. So let's hit the big one first, right out of the gate. Somebody asked me, how is it that I seemingly hold opposing views. I seemingly believe two things at the same time, and they're in opposition to one another. So I must be confused, or I must be a liar, or I must just be looking for attention, or no. Things don't have to be. I mean, the name of the show is Gray Matters. Things don't have to be black and white. Things don't have to be cut and dry. There are more than two options. There are more than two answers to a question. So let's give you some examples, and some of these are going to upset you, folks. So buckle your seatbelts. For example, let's talk about abortion. Oh yeah, I know, playing with fire, right? Okay. People don't know. A lot of people don't know this about, because I try to avoid the subject of abortion because it's a conversation that will get nowhere for the most part. You're not going to convince people to change their minds. If there's someone is is pro-life or pro-choice, you're not going to flip them. It's practically impossible unless that person has a life-altering moment. Those sorts of viewpoints are not going to change. So there's no point in me arguing with a pro-choice or pro-lifer about their beliefs, because I'm not going to convince them. I'm not going to win the argument. They are going to use cognitive dissonance, and they're going to shut me down and block out any information that I might offer to contradict or undermine their point. But as for me personally, how can I have opposing views? For example, I don't believe I have the right, as a human being, as a voter, or if I was an elected official, or as a citizen, to tell someone else what they can do with their body. I don't think I have that right. I may disagree. I may think that your actions are not good for you. I may think that they're dangerous, and perhaps they set an ugly precedent, which could a moral precedent which could undermine civilization, possibly even. But I don't believe I have the right to choose, or to even tell you what sort of decision you have to make as a woman or as a man. Which, by the way, I think men should have the fathers should be at least allowed to be a part of the conversation. I mean, ultimately it's the woman's body and it's her decision ultimately, but you can't cut the fathers out completely. And a lot of women do. A lot of women don't give the fathers any choice or any input. So at least give him a chance to plead his case, for or against. So that's a side note, sorry. So yeah, I don't believe I have the right to choose what a woman can and cannot does. Well, I don't believe I have the right to choose what anybody does with their body. If you don't want to take the corona vaccine, I don't think I should be able to make you. I don't think I should force you. Yeah, it's a public health issue. But if all the people in the country that don't want to get the vaccine don't get the vaccine, and did they all die? Well, that was their choice. It was. They didn't necessarily commit suicide necessarily, but they made a very risky choice. Based on some of the people that I know personally who've had a very, very bad reaction to one of the vaccines. I don't know which ones they are. I'm not going to point a finger. But I know at least 2 people, no, 3 people, who've had very bad reactions to the vaccine. And doctors are now concerned for them. They don't quite know what to make of it. That is true in all 3 cases. And I'm watching closely to see what happens. But anyway, back to the point. So, I don't believe I have the choice, the right to make the choice for a woman to have an abortion or not. So that's not in my purview as a human being. It's not. It has nothing to do with the fact that I'm a man. It has to do with the fact that I'm a fellow human being. I don't have the right to tell you what to do with your body, and vice versa. But, however, I can hold the belief at the same time. I can still hold the belief that if you have an abortion after a fetus has a heartbeat, you are ending a life. I can hold that same idea at the same time. I can have both those ideas at the same time. People think that is insane. No, I can believe that if it has a heart and it has a heartbeat, it's alive. And if you abort that pregnancy, you are therefore ending a life. I can believe that and still say you have the right to choose. I'm not going to make your choice easier for you, and I'm not going to make it harder for you. I'm going to be honest about it. If it has a heart, it has a heartbeat, in my book, that's alive. If you want to have an abortion, that's on you. You're going to have to live with that. I'm not trying to talk you out of it. Look, I know plenty of women who should never, ever have kids. I know plenty of women who've had abortions, and you know what? Knowing them personally, it was probably the right choice for that person. Probably the right choice for that child. So, like I said, I can hold those opposing views and not be insane, because in my mind, that it's not in opposition. It's just I see both sides of the same coin. So yeah, because it doesn't have to be black or white. It can be gray. He said the thing. Climate. There's another one that's where I hold a somewhat hypocritical or hypocritical and contradictory view. I believe the climate is changing. I believe humans are impacting the climate. In what ways and to what degree, that's where I begin to waver. I don't believe that all of the science out there about climate change is accurate. I know people. I do not know a scientist who has falsified information. I don't know anyone who knows someone. No, none of that. But I do know people who are in important positions in various fields who allow their personal beliefs to influence their behavior, I'll say. We'll just say that from time to time, based on their political beliefs, they have been known to fudge some numbers, put their thumb on the scale to tip things more their direction, even though what they know to be true contradicts their beliefs. So know this: corruption and falsification and fraud is a lot more pervasive in our society than we want to admit. It is. You know, it doesn't have to be a conspiracy. There is such a thing as a spontaneous conspiracy, and it's there's actually another term for what I'm talking about. The spontaneous conspiracy. Well, conspiracy is a conspiracy. It's multiple people talking together, doing something. But there's such thing as sort of a spontaneous conspiracy. But what I'm talking about is where there are people who are separated by miles and various degrees of separation, who have the exact same idea about the exact same thing at the exact same time. And a lot of these people are in the exact same position to take the exact same actions. Which means that even without a conspiracy, they all decide to do the same bad thing at the same time, because it just that they feel that they are making the right choice and they're making a righteous decision. So that's the big one. So yes, I can hold opposing views at the same time. It is possible. You do not have to be 100% this or 100% that. That is one of the misconceptions we have in our society. It's one of the problems we have in our political debates. And I also, because I respect the fact that I'm not the only person in this world. It's not only my opinion that matters, because that's what America's about. America's about freedom of choice. And I don't have the right to sit here and make you do everything I want you to do. However, we do need to come to some sort of common ground. Sometimes I need to win the argument. Sometimes you need to win the argument. Sometimes we need to find a third and different place to be. So that's all I'm going to say for now. I'll be back, and I'll talk to you more about other questions people have sent me. See you guys.